and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. I appreciate your being here. If by chance there's someone in the room who doesn't know who I am, I'm Dr. Robert Bell. I'm the Senior Vice President for Academic and Student Affairs, and I want to welcome you to tonight's public forum. The purpose of tonight's forum is really a chance for all of you to get a chance to hear from the individuals who are candidates for the positions for the school deans as we make the transition from our current instructional divisions into the school models. It's an opportunity again for you to hear from these individuals on why they believe they should be chosen for the position, and for you to get a chance to hear their vision on what they think they will be doing and how they will carry a school's model forward. We're going to do that, and then there are questions which have been submitted by many members of the faculty and staff. We will then go to a question and answer period for all the candidates, so you get a chance to hear them and they can respond to the questions that you put to them. By way of brief introduction, the reason we're going through this discourse and the reason we're even talking about a reorganization for a lot of reasons is to, one of the primary goals is to move to a model of operation for the college where the members of the college faculty will have more direct input and engagement in the decisions that directly impact the operations of faculty. I can tell you as your Senior Vice President, most final decisions for what happens with faculty, what we ultimately do in the divisions, emanate from one or more of the administrators called instructional deans and ultimately to my office probably for final decisions. And so it's a little bit of a disconnect from the individuals who are directly impacted by that decision, and that is the faculty themselves. So that's one of the primary goals why we're having this discussion, and one of the primary reasons we're here today to talk to the candidates. So with that being said, the process will be a moderated process. And so I'm going to step away from the podium now and introduce the moderator for tonight's events, Professor A.C. Panella.
Thank you, Dr. Bell, and thank you all for being here tonight. I know that there are a lot of wonderful places you could be on a Wednesday night, but I'm glad that you're here. So tonight what's going to be doing, we're going to be starting off is with a series of statements from our candidates. The order that we'll be going in is in an alphabetical order, and each candidate will go ahead and give a little statement, a chance for them to explain their vision for the school that they'll be representing. So going first tonight will be Dr. Jim Arnwine.
Thank you. So my biggest fear this evening is speaking in front of our speech faculty, since some of them are here, and our broadcast journalism faculty, because they know how to do this so much better than I. But just briefly, my background, for those who don't know, I went to UCLA, got a BA in music there and a Master's of Fine Arts degree. And then later on, after teaching 15 years, DMA at USC, Doctor of Musical Arts. Taught 4 years at Pasadena High School nearby, and then 21 years was a faculty member in the music department, taught bands, chamber ensembles, brass groups, this kind of thing, along with the Tournament of Roses honor band. So I've been here then at PCC 27 years. I've lived in Pasadena since 1976. I'm very committed to the college and want the best for our students and our faculty. My vision for the School of Visual, Media, and Performing Arts is, first of all, to continue the excellence of our very public departments we have. We have departments here such as music, performing, theater, dance, art, visual arts. All of these are very public, the broadcast media. The public sees the work of the students, and we're assessed all the time based on what they see our students do. So I want to continue that strength that we have in performances and art showings and forensics events and in broadcast media that we have, our Lancer Radio, upcoming productions with television. So the creation of this school then is an opportunity to bring the media programs, especially television, radio, cinema, digital design, journalism, together under one roof, maybe under one chair. Right now they're separate, television and radio. Television's in the basement of C building, radio's in the L building, journalism's in this building, cinemas in the new Center for the Arts, digital design is in the Center for the Arts. So geographically, we're not very well together, but maybe under one school and one leadership, we can start to bring those media together. And especially that's important because those media out in the real world are merging very rapidly. So I'd like to be able to see that happen. I'd like to strengthen even further our AA degrees, our AAT degrees, our certificates in job placement. So, and some examples where we're making progress in that, our television radio faculty have been working on a foundational certificate that is going to then be an entryway for all of our media students, and then they can go on to specialized occupational skills certificates. So we're really looking forward to that, and that can be inclusive of these other areas as well. So we look forward to seeing that. I look very much forward to greater community ties as part of this larger school. And especially as dean, I hope that I have time then to engage more in the community. The Center for the Arts will provide many new opportunities to engage the community. More community members will be coming to our productions because it's easier, it's accessible, it will be a beautiful environment, and the sounds and the productions will be better. So we'll engage the community that way. Outside groups will be using our facilities, so our students will be able to see outside community groups in those facilities. The Pasadena Arts Council already has made arrangements to bring representatives from all of the arts organizations in town to an event where they'll get tours, and we'll talk about how they can use our facilities and share those with us. Pasadena Mayor Bogard is going to give his State of the City address here in January in the new center. So it's going to tie us and connect us with the community in ways that we haven't been able to do before. Our TV program has been approached by several outside entities, including the Pasadena Community Access Corporation and San Marino Cable Access, to use our facilities, possibly use our students for productions. It speaks to the high caliber of our program. Under this big school, I think we can even accommodate that even better. As school dean, I hope I can engage then with the many organizations in town that are representative of the arts. We have the Pasadena Symphony, Pasadena Art Alliance, Pasadena Arts Council, our local high school arts programs, local university arts programs, the Tournament of Roses Association, Pasadena Cable Access, I mentioned San Marino, among others, and also the PCC Foundation. And as school dean, I hope that we're structured in a way that I can have time then to really spend nurturing those kind of relationships which benefit the school and the entire college in the long run. I'd like to see a development of an extensive extension program, so courses that maybe don't fall under our academic program can be moved to extension or created in extension, not really moving them, but creating new courses. Pasadena Conservatory of Music, just down the street here on Hill, has a number of music appreciation classes, maybe 4 or 5, that engage the community. They're accessible without going through the whole matriculation process. And so I hope that we can establish those, but we need to establish them so that they're really quality, or reflect the quality of our academic programs here. People over the years who've been engaged with our faculty and our students and have come to our facilities on a regular basis have turned out to be some of our biggest supporters in fundraising and in community support. So I'd like to establish that as well as part of our school. I hope to see more interaction among the various fields in our new school. So for example, our new recital hall, which we hope to open in just a few weeks, has the capability of having multimedia presentations. So I look forward to seeing video presentation, maybe with live music, or we might have our commercial music students prepare music then for animation projects that are now in the VAMs. Dance and live music together on the stage, all kinds of different interactive things. And I think we can start to see the germs of that happening, because as you walk down our Center for the Arts now, those who've been through the main hallway, you'll see there's windows into the rooms, and you can look in. And so it's fascinating to me, and I enjoy it every time I go down the hall and I see on the left an art class, and they're all gathered around studying each other's work, or they're busy on their own work. And across the hall then is a music room where there's some kind of rehearsal or practice or instruction going on. And so just that proximity and being able to see each other, I think we can start to nurture those ties and those relationships. I look forward to an office structure that can really support the faculty, the students, and the staff. Right now, Cheryl Cornelius has, in our office, really creating a welcoming atmosphere into an office that's now supporting and serving 2 large divisions. So that's quite a challenge in one place. Nee and Jill have been furiously, I could say, or frantically, maybe at times, but working to get up to speed, not only from the move, but from the different processes, payroll, I could go on and on, purchasing, budgeting, transfers, all that, that much of that work is moved to the offices now. So I hope that within this school we can establish a structure that helps us move smoothly, effectively, to serve the students and the faculty, but where everyone can feel good about the work they're doing because they have time to do it. Maybe that involves bringing on more office staff, but so we can get through those, get through all those tasks well. Okay, thank you. And then finally, we need to be involved in the master planning process as we move forward. So even though we have a beautiful new Center for the Arts, we still have dance studios, sculpture studio, ceramic studio upgrade, printmaking studio, theater scene shop, section auditorium, forensics training facility, and speech offices that are in limbo. They're need to be addressed. Finally, I'd just like to touch on the topic of department chairs, because as part of our larger school, chairs will need faculty chairs to help take care of the tasks of the department, but it must be a collaborative process to develop a model that works for everyone to decide on the duties, the compensation, the selection of chairs. But there's a long possible list of duties, such as communication between faculty and dean, program review, assessment of student learning outcomes, curriculum development, recruitment selection, training, and evaluation of adjunct faculty, various departmental projects, review syllabi, the list can go on. My personal preference in this vision is that we have maybe fewer chairs with larger load, and as I think about my work as a coordinator and then moving on into dean, a 20% load doesn't really give you the time to really engage in those kind of duties and tasks that we're talking about. So I could see possibly, and again, this is my own personal preference or first thought at this without the collaboration that will come, but certainly someone to be in charge of speech, media, and I'd like there to see a full-time department chair who can really take on and incorporate all those areas of media that we've talked about. Someone for performing arts, someone for visual arts, and possibly a chair who could cover all the courses such as dance history, music history, theater history, film history, art history, all those GE humanities courses. I'd like to see someone maybe, because they have so many shared ideas as far as assessment, curriculum review, all those, maybe someone to be in charge of those. So that's just kind of an opening thought on department chairs, but I know there will be a long process to develop those department chairs. So those briefly, a little bit of my vision for how the School of Visual, Media, and Performing Arts can move forward. Thank you.
So since I was last up here, more people are wandering into the room, which is a good chance for me to start to say how question asking is going to be going today. So Today, we're going to be able to engage in questions a couple of different ways. One, questions were already sent in and submitted online. So there are about 7 questions that these fine deans will be asked in a moment, and they'll all have a chance to respond to them. Then after that, depending on the length of time, once we get through that, we'll be able to open up the floor for questions. In order to ask a question, we just ask that you fill out a public comment card. Dr. Ariano's got a stack, and there are stacks at each table. Go ahead and fill those out, and then that way we can order and focus the card so that we don't have duplicates and can get through the question period in a timely process. So with that, we're going to move on to our next dean, Dr. Solomon. No, you're not. My bad. I'm so sorry. Solomon Davila. Give him a round of applause. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you for attending this forum, and thank you, Dr. Bell, for arranging this, and Panella for moderating. I think this is a very important part of our campus to have this convening and to hear us out, literally, and so that we have our moment to share our thoughts with every single one of you. My name, once again, Solomon Davila. I don't have a doctorate yet. But I wanted to make sure everyone understood who I was and what I'm about and why I want to have this position in our campus. A little bit of background on myself. The main reason why I wanted to make sure that this position is something that I undertook, and the reason why I do this, and the number one reason why I get out of bed every morning to do this is to lead. I remember when Dr. Bell asked me, why do you want this job? I said, to lead. And to lead with a conscientious effort and the wholeheartedness that it takes to deal with the problems of today's 21st century educational institutions. So, why? The number one reason why students drop out of high school, anyone want to care to share why they drop out of high school? Or for that matter, even us in our campus? Why do students leave? Our students are bored. And I share that with you because students vote with their feet. And I almost, myself personally, left my own educational venture very early on in my career. I was a C student. I was a troublemaker. And I went to the office, principal's office, every single year of my grade school, high school career. In Texas, there was corporal punishment, so I got spanked several times. If it wasn't for CTE that really saved my life and had me realize that I can learn differently by doing rather than sitting still, which I couldn't really do that well back then, I wouldn't have known how intelligent I could be. And that's why I do what I do. Because I do honestly believe that we all have an intelligence within us that just needs to be discovered. I want to provide the adequate leadership for our faculty and our staff and anyone who supports this particular type of learning under the career technical education model to be able to use their skill sets, their hands, their personality, their problem-solving skills on their feet. Anything that requires this additional aspect of judgment right there and then, because there's no, well, I guess right or wrong, but the fact of the matter is what we do is live, as opposed to turning it in and hopefully we get a good grade. No, our faculty are assessing right there and then in much of our CTE programs. And to me, that's important, to have that environment for our students to do so. And ultimately, the reason why this needs to be supported or how it needs to be supported, is simply because our economy really depends on much of what our students are learning here in our CTE division and in school. So just to give you an example, here in LA County, roughly about 20% of the highest paid jobs, actually 30% once we'll include health sciences, highest paid CTE jobs are in health sciences, information technology, and manufacturing of sorts. These are high paid jobs that require an associate's degree, a certificate level, for which many of our students are able to attain while here at PCC to make sure that they have the quality of life for which we all enjoy as we sit here. And that's really the dignity that we can bring our students in their livelihood. So once again, I want to sign up for this particular role because I can feel like I can lead that charge and be able to advocate for our students and faculty who need a lot of support in the CTE realm. Our CTE faculty are probably the most scrutinized faculty on our campus. Not only do they have to learn much technology, new procedures, new applications, new methodologies, new laws, etc., that change every year, and teach it, and have to do a program review and course review every 2 years, and at the same time pass a level of scrutiny with our regional consortia, which is here part of the Chancellor's Office, that every CTE program has to provide their program review to outside of PCC before that we can even actually bring it to CNI here on our campus. So there is a level of rigor that our CTE programs do have here, and I do believe there is a stigma unfavorably to the CTE realm that I want to make sure people understand that it's unfounded. Because as long as there's dignity and the availability for individuals to learn in their way, there is value in that particular work, and our faculty and our students need to be valued for that same reason. So I make sure that when I signed up for this, is that we bring, we take away that stigma with CTE or what CTE is, or what it was. I don't want to hear it. It's high tech, high value, high jobs, high paid jobs, and that's what reality of the current CTE arena is about. So let me explain what I've been doing to achieve those measures. I've been able to participate in many public forums of different scales beyond PCC quite successfully over my career. Luckily, to bring a little bit of my background, my network comes from a very interesting level of education. Even though I was CTE in high school, I was nerdy enough to be accepted to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which I swore it was the Maryland Institute of Trucking. I don't know how I got into that school, but I just saw MIT, so okay. So I went there, and it was great. It challenged me to the nth degree to prepare me for such a role that I'm facing today. High energy, high volume, drinking from a fire hose, basically, is what it was. And I survived. For every 10 individuals of my background, meaning coming from a low socioeconomic status, coming from a rural area of Texas, I was one of 2 that survived. One of two out of the 10 that survived after 4 years. I saw 8 of my colleagues drop out. It was that hard. So I understand really what the tenacity that's necessary to carry through, for which I share with all of my students. And I tell them, look, you're going to make it. And who knows where you're going to go. I was so committed to that goal that I've participated in a program here that we call Math and Science Upward Bound, for which I taught over the summer, and I did it for 4 or 5 years. And these are students with the same background of mine, low socioeconomic status, marginalized members of our society. And I'm glad to say that individuals in that program were able to go to MIT as well. Why? Because I told them they can do it. Why? Because I taught them that they can be valued for how they learn. And that's all it took, with a lot of effort. So I've also taken that same mantra with colleagues of mine. I've worked with many colleagues of mine for which we developed new programs. Many of you know of our Design Tech program, for which I've worked extensively with our colleagues in our CTE department, ENT. What is Design Tech about? It's essentially the valuing of math and English into a CTE spectrum. That the fact is, none of us could really function in an occupation unless we use math and science effectively in context. Remember what I mentioned earlier, that why our students drop out of being bored? We purposely changed Design Tech, or this new CTE model in Design Tech, to be high energy, to be all software, all technology, always on, and students enjoy it. The truth of the matter is, if we just get out of our students' way and let them learn in the best way that they can, especially with all the technologies that's out there, they can take it to the nth degree. And why is that important is because in today's economy, the reality is that entrepreneurship is the new companies of yesterday. A lot of us are used to maybe having, at least in our educational realm, a lifelong career in an institution. That is not the reality for our students. Our students, many of them, have to have at least in their mind that they're going to work at least 10 to 12 jobs. And they have to have the entrepreneur spirit. And so we purposely designed Design Tech so that it has the contextualizations for basic skill students, which is a pervasive issue that we have to deal with in our campus, with 66% of our students being basic skills, and the entrepreneurship that's necessary for tomorrow's jobs to essentially effectively provide that opportunity to students is really what my work is about. So once again, my name is Salomon Davila, and I'm very glad to lead from the front and make sure that everyone is engaged in these new 21st century programs that I like to call career technical education. Thank you.
And for those of you who haven't taught in the Upward Bound or worked with the Upward Bound students, I get to teach them in the summer too, and it can be a rejuvenating experience. But with that, let's move on to our next candidate, Barbara Freund. Please give her a round of applause.
Okay, thank you. I'm already getting warnings. Thank you all for coming. I'm really pleased to see the outpouring of support from health sciences and the fact that we have students here that I might be a little concerned aren't studying tonight, but instead are here to hear this. My name is Barbara Freund. I came to PCC in 2009, so I'm entering, or I have just entered, my 5th academic year. My background, well, actually, I came here because my husband said we were moving to California, and was fortunate enough to find this position here at PCC and the challenges that came with it. I am a nurse by training. I went to school what seems like 100 years ago in a hospital diploma program. And so I know the issues with students going back to school and completing their degrees so that they can compete in the healthcare workforce. I hold a bachelor's degree of science in nursing. I have a master's degree of science in nursing with a focus in nursing education, and I have a PhD in health services. I have taught both undergraduate and graduate students. I've also taught postgraduate students in the medical school where I worked before I came here to PCC. And in that role, I was both faculty and researcher, and then developed the first older driver assessment clinic in the state of Virginia, which then became the state model for the Department of Motor Vehicles and has been replicated now in several other states. And so I tell you that because I have this fantastic creative faculty who have ideas about changes in healthcare and how we're going to be delivering healthcare, and they have that how do we answer this question mentality, and I think that my background allows me to be the person who can facilitate their answering those questions. We only have 10 minutes for this opening statement, and I could probably talk for hours about this and put you all to sleep, maybe, maybe not. And while we recognize all of the questions with regards to what is the structure going to look like, what will program directors look like, what will their jobs be, what kind of support staff will we have, those are all questions to be worked out collaboratively with my division program directors, faculty, staff, classified staff, and students. How do we want this to look? So what I wanted to focus on tonight with my opening statement was a vision that I only just started talking about some elements with faculty, staff, and students, and wound up with this wonderful picture of what could be because of the contributions that they've already made. So I see myself as the facilitator for the institutionalization of a culture of caring that's grounded in service to the institution, our professions, and the community. A few examples of what we're already doing in that realm are we have dental assisting students and faculty who go out in the community and service elementary school children with coronal polish and sealants, and I actually think I know what that means now. It's really important for their tooth health care. We have nursing students who just today were in the CEC quad administering flu shots for our students and faculty. We're running out of supplies though, so make sure you get to the next one soon. Dental hygiene currently operates a community clinic where members of the community are able to come in and have dental hygiene care provided for them at very discounted rates, and that the students get hands-on learning experience in the actual practice setting where they will graduate and then practice. But at this point, we're now poised for expansion. So in numerous conversations with faculty from across all the health science programs, the vision now is to have the whole division no longer divided, and come together where we can operate a faculty and student-run clinic that offers services to the uninsured and underinsured members of our community. And this is where much of our teaching and learning will take place. The framework is a comprehensive, multi- and interdisciplinary service learning model that is based in healthcare, but embraces participation that is campus-wide. Clinic services would operate entirely through a service learning model and would encompass a variety of services offered to those uninsured and underinsured community residents. An advisory committee of licensed professionals in the field, as well as physically present supervising faculty, would direct all the services. It's really already the model that is taking place, as I said, with the dental hygiene clinic. And even though we don't have clinics in the other programs, we're already working and have been and are mandated by our accreditation boards to work with those advisory committees. The operational structure and services proposed then could include, wouldn't be limited to this, and may not include all of these, but these are just some of the examples that have come up in conversations. The office operations of the clinic, including patient scheduling, coordination of services, history taking, certain clinical procedures, along with coding and billing, would be the responsibility of the medical assisting faculty and staff and students. So that program would essentially run the day-to-day behind the scenes and upfront scenes operations of the clinic. We might look to the business division, our faculty and students in business, to perhaps look at establishing us as a not-for-profit corporation where we would then compete for federal and state dollars for providing health care now under the Affordable Care Act. They might be willing to be responsible then for the finance and accounting of those services. Dental program faculty and students would continue to provide the dental screenings, the sealants, and the clinic services, but they would all be integrated within our larger in-one-place clinic. Nursing faculty and students would perform clinical procedures and screenings such as flu shots, school physicals, diabetes and hypertension screenings, monitoring. We have a number of our nursing faculty who are nurse practitioners, and so they do have prescriptive authority and primary care responsibilities that I don't want to use the word exploit, but could capitalize on. And what better opportunity for our students to understand both the breadth and depth of that particular profession in practice than in a clinic such as that. Nutrition faculty and students could provide nutrition counseling, diet information, and demonstrations on healthy eating. Culinary arts could offer community demonstrations and seminars on healthy meal preparation. If we were to have an on-site student-run food bank, those same students in nutrition could perhaps develop meal recipe menus that go along with, well, what can you do when you get food from a food bank and you get a box of this and a can of that? How do you make a meal out of it? Our radiologic technology faculty and students could be looking at basic radiology and mammography screening for the community at set events. Other services could include fitness training programs by the kinesiology faculty and students, and maybe in collaboration with nutrition and culinary arts to provide the comprehensive diet and exercise focus. Cognition testing, Alzheimer's screenings could be conducted by our psychology students, and older driver fitness assessments could be something that computer science students could help us with writing algorithms for automatic scoring in interactive driving simulation scenarios. They could also be tapped, the engineering and computer students, to develop new technologies to assist older adults with independent living. In a recent conversation about potential clinic offerings, another faculty member suggested 1 day a week adult daycare. Blew my socks off. I wasn't expecting that at all. This community service for the patient and the respite care then for their caregiver would allow students firsthand experience with this aspect of gerontology and geriatric care. We further envisioned activities in collaboration with the art students to provide art activities, both as an opportunity for meaningful, reminiscent, or life review therapy for the patient, but also as stress reduction for the caregiver. In summary, the Health Sciences Division is uniquely poised, qualified, and capable of directing a comprehensive, inclusive, multi- and interdisciplinary service learning program that will eventuate positive outcomes for students, faculty, and the community. The distinctive element of service learning is that it enhances the community through the service provided, and this is how we see health sciences. And I will close with something that Maya Angelou said: if you find it in your heart to care for someone else, you will have succeeded. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So the last opening statement will be from Amy Ulmer.
Good evening and welcome to the dating game. It's very interesting listening to my colleagues to hear how different we all are and how different our schools and divisions are. We offer amazing stuff here at this college. I'm thrilled to be here. My goal tonight is to tell you a little bit about who I am, what I stand for, and how I will be effective as the Dean of the School of Humanities and Social Sciences. I hope that after tonight's forum, you'll be comfortable with the idea of me as leader for English, social sciences, ESL, and languages. I'm happy to be a part of PCC's proud past and its global future. For the past 23 years, Pasadena City College has been my professional home. I was hired under Chair Ray Ballard, as a part-time instructor in composition in the English, ESL, and Foreign Languages Division. A year and a half later, I had a one-semester temporary position, full-time, and after that semester, I was hired as a full-time tenure-track instructor. As faculty, I was immediately involved in grant programs on diversity and multicultural curriculum and with interdisciplinary programs, especially with faculty in social sciences. One of my first leadership jobs was as chair of the Freshman Comp Committee, filling in for Roger Marheim one semester, although that mostly meant that I got free textbooks from the publishers. In 1997, I became the interim dean of the English, ESL, and Foreign Languages Division, which was the size of a small college. I believe I had 84 full-time instructors at that time. I did not expect to stay in the position for more than 5 years, but as you know, PCC is always in a state of change. As I was about to hit the 5-year mark, PCC realigned its divisions, and English was separated out as a new division, and I went with it. For 5 years, I had worked closely with the ESL and Foreign Languages faculty, hiring many of those who are teaching here today. I, along with the Foreign Languages faculty, Kathy Way, Simonetta May, and others, conceived of and created the Foreign Languages Lab in the D Building many years ago. I also began my teaching career here with many of the languages faculty, and they were then and they are now my friends, both professionally and personally. Just as the current reorganization is controversial, so was the one way back then. It was hard to separate from our colleagues in ESL and languages. We chose to keep faculty in the same office areas, so there was no physical separation. Our division offices are still across the hall from each other, and my classified staff and I have always worked closely with Dean Young and his classified staff. Our office staff covers for each other whenever needed. So joining forces again feels natural for me. The Languages Division has coordinators in place who report to Dean Young, and I don't see any immediate changing of that significantly. English and ESL faculty are working together this semester on the Stretch Accelerated Composition program, and in the spring, the ESL faculty in that program will be teaching English 1A. English faculty are grandfathered in to teach ESL, and ESL faculty to teach in the English Division's Writing Center. We are already cross-pollinating, and putting us all in one school will only serve to foster that collaboration, and that is one of the main goals of creating the schools model. I believe my history with the ESL and foreign languages faculty and knowledge of their curriculum will stand me in good stead as the Dean of Humanities and Social Sciences. But how do I fit with social sciences? Just as I have a long-standing association with many of the Languages Division faculty, I also have developed relationships over the years with the social sciences faculty. After all, we're in the same building, and the women and I share the same restrooms. I first came to know Paul Price when he was my daughter's teacher in sociology. Over the years, we have often spoken in the hallway about a multitude of things. We have been on diversity committees together, and Dean Price graciously served on an English Division hiring committee a few years ago. Since he became interim Dean of Social Sciences, we have worked closely together, and I look forward to continuing to work with Dean Price as he maintains his position in the new school. My other involvements with social sciences include teaching in the History, Humanities, and Introduction to Literature Scholars Block program many years ago with Ellen Shakro. Dr. Shakro and I also co-led the Oxford program in 2007. Linda Stroud and I paired a Child Development 10 and English 100 class for many years. Lauren Aronson and I collaborated on the Let's Talk About It Jewish Literature project at the Shatford Library. And just yesterday, Lauren and I ran into each other in line at Starbucks, where, as you know, a lot of college business is done. And we talked about shared interests in the social sciences lab. Years ago, Frances Neyoung and Barbara Turner, now retired, of social sciences, Roger Marheim and Lou Rosenberg of English, and I worked together on a Ford Foundation National Endowment for the Humanities grant. Nikki Harmon and I trained together to be members of the PCC Emergency Response Team. Thank God they let us go. And when my youngest daughter was working as a preschool teacher, I learned more about the Child Development Center in Nikki's program, and I'm looking forward to becoming more involved with that. And many years ago, I sat across the table from Julie Kiotis and Suzanne Anderson during faculty district negotiations, and we still like and respect each other. For those of you who do not know me well, I want you to understand that while I have been in administration at PCC for many years and have the advantage of a broader understanding of its history and traditions, I have always had the soul of a teacher. I have taught every semester since I became a dean. By being in the classroom, I stay in touch with what teachers face each day, and I keep my sanity. When I first became a dean, I told my faculty that I wanted to practice transformational leadership. I have always been committed to supporting faculty to be the best possible teachers they can be, and to giving them the resources with which to achieve that. If faculty are at their best, and achieve their fullest potential, then the students will get the best education we can offer them. If you ask me where my strengths lie, you might be surprised at my answer. I have a reputation, yes, I know, for meeting deadlines, being uber organized and very hands-on, right down to reviewing syllabi and calling facilities when the trash in a classroom is overflowing, which I did this morning, and for running a tight ship, so to speak. But that is just a style. For me, my strength is in faculty development and working with students. The faculty focus is on teaching and learning for students. My focus is on supporting the faculty and the students. As Dean of the English Division, I instituted an official mentoring program for tenure-track faculty, matching them with a tenured instructor who could help guide them along their way. I have hosted monthly tenure-track lunch meetings as a safe space where new faculty can talk about issues that affect them both in and out of the classroom. How great it would be if that luncheon included new faculty from 3 divisions. I have always tried to provide funds for faculty to attend professional learning conferences, even in the leanest of times, and have always encouraged faculty to take advantage of opportunities for professional growth. My best experiences at conferences and workshops, whether discipline-specific or other, have been when I have gone with a team of colleagues. Much of a dean's job is a personnel job. I have supported faculty through professional and personal crises in the last 16 years. Whether handling a dispute about a grade or a dispute about a curricular issue or talking to someone about their divorce, I believe I have always listened and been fair. The students who come to my office and the teachers may not always be happy with the outcome, but they always know that they have been heard. I know I have helped countless students over the years and dispensed many tissues to them. I have negotiated teacher-student issues and teacher-teacher issues. I have moderated difficult conversations and contentious debates, but the discourse has always been civil and the best interest of students has always been at the center. So enough about me. What will this new school look like? How will it function? Why will it be better than what we have, you want to know? I don't have all the answers. As with everything in an academic institution, it will be a work in progress, and we will review and revise and improve as we go. As a dean, I have often had to practice shuttle diplomacy, going from the higher administration to the faculty and back again. I worked diligently on the task teams that discussed and debated the realignment. What I see now is an opportunity for the English, languages, and social sciences faculty to share resources, share expertise, and explore ideas together to meet the goals of the Educational Master Plan. There are many ways we can go, and the vision will and must come from the faculty. It will be my job to nurture and support your vision. For example, both English and ESL offer basic skills classes. We need to remove the exit points and barriers to success for basic skills students. Now, under one umbrella, ESL and English faculty may more easily share innovative and successful strategies. English, social sciences, and foreign languages provide GE and transfer level classes leading to degrees and transfer. New cohorts can be developed that are outcomes-based, if that is what the faculty would like to do. Imagine a student taking a schedule that includes an advanced Chinese language class, Chinese civilization, Asian literature, and History 19, the history of China, Japan, and Korea. And imagine the teachers working together on curriculum. It could be great. And I realize, I really do, that these are not new concepts, but under one school and one dean, the opportunities will be more apparent and easier. The humanities, literature, and languages are a natural together, and all the students, all of them, have to take English 1A, opening up more possibilities of thematic and contextualized learning. There is so much talent in these three divisions that the rest of the college is going to be jealous. Of all the academic deans, I have the dubious honor of being the most senior. I have worked under 5 presidents and 3 vice presidents of instruction. I believe that my history and vast experience with the college as a part-time instructor, full-time faculty member, and academic dean will be an asset to the School of Humanities and Social Sciences. I will provide continuity for faculty and students. I have a global view of the college, and I will work tirelessly for the best interests of everyone. Thank you for listening.
Thank you all for participating in them so well. It's so great to sit on a dean's hiring committee right now. There are snacks and food in the back, so I know that we're at the point of the evening where if you haven't eaten, you may need to pull up some blood sugar, so it's a good time to go ahead and do that. But we're going to go ahead and move on with some of the questions that were submitted earlier. The way these questions are going to be answered is we're going to start with Jim and then work our way down the panel, and then each new question, then a new person will get to go first. So the first question that we have is, in your new role as dean of your school, how do you envision increasing resources for that school? How would you work with the Office of Advancement to increase your resource development and meet your needs?
Well, fortunately, we have a really outstanding PCC foundation right now, and I've enjoyed working with Bobby and Valerie and the others there. So I have experience doing that. I did worked extensively with Alex Kritzelis, the previous VAMS division dean, raising money for the Center for the Arts. We've raised and just had a ceremony celebrating reaching our goal of raising over $110,000 for band uniforms. And I think especially, as I mentioned in my opening statement, the need for community engagement will be really important. So with that community engagement and the collaboration of the foundation, I think we can do a lot as well. And in addition, I mentioned in my opening statement the the possibility of extension courses, but engaging community on our campus with our faculty. Those people who have done that become very loyal and have been very supportive to us over the years. So I think
Thank
there's
you.
lots of opportunity.
Solomon? Same question.
I'm sorry. Well, I'm glad that Jim brought up the extension school because that's one of the facets of the Career Technical Education program, which I've been very proud to say I've learned quite a bit. Even though I've been here for 12 years as an instructor, I never knew how the extension programs actually function, and it is correct. Jim has the foresight to have the extension school be a profit center in a sort. I mean, we can't generate profit because we're nonprofit, but in a way to support our programs. In addition to that, I have been quite successful because of our CT programs, a real tangible students can provide real tangible skill sets to our current economy. Our employers are very willing to provide donations, to provide gifts like scholarships, but also jobs directly to our students. The idea is that we can generate an opportunity for students to be able to be entrepreneurship in their own way, which means that if they are successful through the help like the SBDC, which is another facet of the Career Technical Education, where small businesses can flourish and grow and become full right their own businesses, they remember where they came from. And so we have this legacy of many more future business leaders, and they know to engage with PCC for the right level of students. So it really is the involvement with our larger community of our employers and our businesses, I think, that is really the ticket for this.
Great. Thank you. Barbara?
Everything that he said. Because our programs are career technical education programs in the health sciences, really it is everything that Solomon just said. But I think that we also have to take stock of the fact that healthcare, of course, is big news right now, but it's always big news. The aging of America is upon us, and the tidal waves will be hitting soon. We are looking at entrepreneurship in how healthcare is delivered and who will be delivering that care. And so we have the perfect opportunity to be working with the foundation and our business partners to be bringing in funding specifically for development of new ways of offering those kinds of services, updating our technology, working with our hospital care partners to provide continuing education for their employees. We have an opportunity in terms of contract education then with industry. We've done contract education now. We went into that this past year with LA County Health, which is the largest healthcare provider in the area, with looking at certified medical assistants because of the movement of 400,000 patients in LA into the patient-centered medical home model. And a mainstay of that is coordination of care through medical assistance. So we've already had that first knock on our door of, can you help us? And I think that we're going to be asked more and more by the community to be offering those kinds of educational programs. So we have opportunities with extension, with contract ed, with continuing education, and then of course grant writing for the types of programs bringing in students who are traditionally disadvantaged or underrepresented in these particular professions. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for us, particularly now with the spotlight on healthcare.
Thank you very much. Amy?
This is a tough one for English, social sciences, and languages. It will be a learning curve for me. I'm proud to say that I raised our first $2,000 for the English division last year, and this year we doubled it to $5,000. So if I could double that money every year, we'd be doing great. I will have to work with Bobby. We will be looking at grants. I don't know enough about some of the programs in the different areas, but I would certainly be reaching out to the community. I've lived here for 25 years. I have a network out there looking for the deep pockets and working with faculty to decide what it is that we need our resources for. Right now, we bring in a lot of FTE, so we bring in money for the school, but that isn't quite what the question was about. So we'll be working on this. We're not CTE, we're not as sexy as the performing and community arts, so we'll see.
Great, thank you very much. So the next question that we have is a question that regards decision-making within the new schools. And the question is, how do you envision decision-making happening within your new school, particularly in regards to the faculty role and the decision-making around their programs or departments? We'll start with Solomon.
This is very important for career technical education, as I mentioned before, because of the scrutiny that we have at different levels beyond just PCC. We have a lot of hoops to jump through. Program development, course development cannot happen if there's no faculty involvement. So in the School of CTE, which will comprise of ENT programs, cosmetology, and business programs, we'll have, in essence, multiple ways for which faculty can be engaged. The way I think of it is sort of outcome-based. So, for example, we have basic skills to be of some attention that needs to be addressed, and that will be collectively across multiple programs. We also have different occupational industry type of certifications that also need to be addressed by our faculty in their individual programs, as well as all the accreditation hoops that we have to jump through. So together, all of those things have to be brought forth, and the role of the faculty to address outcomes and accreditation and program reviews is going to be quite important. Like Jim, I'm very eager to develop a faculty chair model where we'll be quite instrumental to help organize much of these criteria. So,
Thank you. Barbara?
We're very fortunate in health sciences that we already have, in a sense, a faculty chair model, because each of our programs has a program director, and some of the programs even have assistant directors. None of the decisions that take place or that have to do with curriculum or what kinds of activities are happening with students are the purview of anybody except the faculty. I mean, it has always been that way, and so we have faculty meetings and curriculum meetings, and things are a very democratic process, and the faculty vote on things, and so that, of course, isn't going to change. I would like to see that our program directors are actually empowered to work more with designing their budgets and making decisions about where the funds need to be spent. Right now, we don't have that process in place yet, but that would be something that we would be working towards. But I honestly don't see that the decision-making as it relates to curricular items or student issues, that would change at all. We already have that hierarchy and structure in place. We're very lucky.
Great, thank you. Amy?
And I would echo what Barbara said. Currently, the English faculty make the major decisions in our area. We have chairs of the different programs. We have committees, we have votes, it's with consensus, we put forward proposals, and I know from my dealings with languages faculty, they also work together to come to consensus, whether it's about curriculum or about issues in the division. So again, I would just see that would be expanding more, and the faculty have always taken the lead on decision-making for curriculum. That's their purview. we take on the leadership role to help them move curriculum through or to provide resources to meet their needs. But you know, we have coordinators in languages and in social sciences and in English, and those coordinators have different positions and they work with their faculty. So the names might change of who's in charge of what, but I think I don't see any major changes because faculty make the decisions now.
Great, thank you. And Jim?
I feel at least in the Performing Communication Arts Division now, the faculty work collaboratively well together already. I try to foster that environment. And I give you an example. My first speech faculty meeting as a dean turned into quite a strident argument over do we want whiteboards or chalkboards, and there was no moving beyond that. So, but we've moved very much in the other direction now, and in fact, in the last Flex Day, there was great progress made. I didn't even attend. The faculty working together to do that. So I would foster that cooperative spirit in the school as well, and I think we can achieve that, especially in the arts. It's a profession where collaboration is required, and so we can build on that strength that the faculty members bring to it. So.
I'm shocked to hear that speech faculty have a strong opinion about things.
Yeah.
And are vocal about it. Thank you. So the next question is primarily focused between the School of Music and the Performing Arts, but also CTE. And we got two questions regarding this, and I'm hoping that the two folks don't mind that we've condensed them so that it's easier to answer. But how do we go through and negotiate the process of having programs that are sometimes both academic programs and have an overlap in CTE? And all this may be true for Barbara also. What do we do when we have programs that maybe meet multiple paths of achievement? Jim, would you like to go first on this one?
I'll start. Well, this happens very specifically, especially in our television and radio area. We did a survey, not this past spring, but spring before, and one of the questions we asked was very simply, what is your goal? Is it to transfer, or is it to get a certificate and move on to work right away? And it was 50-50, almost exactly. So, but we also find that students come in and maybe they're just looking at that immediate job and get the certificate of the job. But then they are in this academic environment and they change their goal, and then they're looking at transfer and maybe possibly AA degree. So it's very fluid, and we need to be able to accommodate both of them. I'm really proud of the TVR faculty now. As I mentioned, they're working on revising the certificate. So, and I think this revision that they're working on will accommodate both students, whichever way they're entering and whatever their goal is they're entering. It can move them through without wasting any time toward either goal, and they can change that goal along the way.
Great, thank you. Solomon?
Sure, I'm glad this question is asked because this is part of the stigma I was referring to that needs to be sort of done away with. And I call it CTE and non-CTE versus academic versus CTE. The reality is that today's CTE programs, the number one mandate that the federal government from the U.S. Department of Education has mandated for CTE programs to do is to integrate academics into their programs. So I feel quite successful to have done that. I myself personally came from a CTE program for which met both career-oriented folks and transfer-oriented folks. The class I taught and the courses I taught were for both CAT drafters and for engineering transfer students. So I'm very well aware of what this is about. And the way you navigate this is instead of focusing on vocations of yesteryear, kind of like, I'll give you an example of electronics, DC circuits, AC circuits, PLC, programmable logic and controllers, and machinery design. Or the program I came from was manual drafting, then CAD drafting, and then design before you reached, automation. Instead of thinking of vocational, you actually think of it vertically, where you're actually applying all of these technologies and processes at the same time, and students progress by the level of relevance and rigor based on their profession, which I think works really well.
I think the second level of this question is how might our other schools, where we have, whether it's the School of Humanities, right, or Performing Arts, how might they also, what would be the kind of order to interact between the deans? So let's say I'm a faculty member who has a program that falls now within 2 schools. How do you guys envision that working out? Or the process around negotiating that? Amy, would you like to start?
Well, we have the design tech program right now, and that's English and CTE. And so we work together. The faculty work with the deans, and the deans work with each other, and we work out the schedules. It works.
Barbara, do you want to respond?
And I apologize, but I'm not sure I really even understand the question. It all overlaps, and we all work together now. And within health sciences, we're not 50-50. We're 100% each. I mean, we are academic and we are career and technical, if you want to give it that, because we get a certificate of achievement as well. But it does put people, they have every right to go into the workforce immediately upon getting their certificate of achievement. But for many of them, the intention, it's not transfer, it is to continue on now to the next level of that professional degree or certificate.
Thank you. Jim?
Well, I think, again, either the certificate or the AA or both need to be designed so that whatever students take first is not, if they change their goal, it's not wasted. It's applying several different ways. So that means that we incorporate, as Solomon mentioned earlier, basic skills into that earliest semesters of that program, and then basic transferable English and math even, so that if that goal becomes transfer or AA, they've got that, they haven't wasted time. And we can't train to have someone just be, I'll use television radio example again, just a television operator or just a producer. Now, so many things are, one person does the entire job from beginning to end. So it needs to be a very broad training from the start.
And Solomon?
In my case, I think more than just combining or merging programs or serving programs, because I have the honor to be able to have a small business development center where our customers are businesses. So having a business faculty, business students engaged in entrepreneurship programs, helping engineering type students developing artifacts, designs that they can then sell at the flea market or become their own company themselves, being helped by the SBDC is really all synergistic. So I definitely see everything working out really well in the new school.
Wonderful. Thank you. So the next question is always the fun question. It has to deal with resources. So how do you envision in your new larger schools being able to coordinate funding, resource allocation, and hiring requests now that you have a bigger school? So we'll start with Barbara.
Actually, I think I'm the only, or ours would be the only school that isn't bigger. It is still health sciences. The goal is to expand it and hopefully not have our programs be so impacted where we're only allowed to take in X number of students because we have limited external, like clinical resources. So I'm really not sure, other than competing for more dollars, because we are now a school that the community can embrace in terms of the types of things that we're planning to go forward with in developing more community service, healthcare opportunities. I think that, and then of course getting into fistfights with the other deans about who's going to get the equipment money and other kinds of things.
I've long advocated for a cage in the center of the campus.
And again, I think that, you know, if we can look at models whereby bringing in revenue, such as the dental hygiene clinic, maybe they don't charge quite enough, But if we're bringing in revenue for services that we provide or for industry contract education and things like that, that we negotiate a model with the college that, you know, the school keeps a percentage, and then the program that's doing the delivery gets a percentage, and then the college gets a percentage. And I would vote that we get the bigger percentage, of course.
Thank you so much. Amy?
Well, the School of Humanities and Social Sciences would be the largest school in the college, I believe. I think it's 40% of the faculty. And it feels like there's an implication in that question that there might be some competition for the resources, but I see it as the opposite. I see it as shared resources, greater opportunity to do more with the money we have. A perfect example are the many labs in those 3 areas. There's a writing center, there's a foreign languages lab, there's a social sciences lab, there's an ESL center, there's a reading center. And there's probably some functions in there that are overlapping. When the social sciences center opened years ago, it opened at the same time as the writing center. And I actually worked with the previous dean, previous, I think, Gretchen Anderson. And it was next door to the writing center. And the whole idea was to have a door between and to share our student workers and our college assistants and maybe our lab tech. For some reason, Dean Anderson changed her mind and shut the door. And then you move to the other side. But I think we have great opportunities to work together with those labs as a great example of sharing resources. And when it comes to hiring, as far as I know, the Academic Senate Hiring Needs Committee still would have the purview over looking at the hiring needs, but we don't, I compare it to having 2 daughters. I don't choose one over the other. I love them equally, differently, but equally. And so if we need a history teacher and we need an English teacher and we need a Chinese teacher, then we go for it. So I just think it's an opportunity to just share our resources.
Great. Thank you. Jim?
Well, right now, deans don't have a tremendous amount of discretion over our budgets. And my sense is that with this realignment that maybe deans of these schools will start to have more purview over the entire budget, which gives you some flexibility, and you can move things around as you need to, depending on the circumstances. Things are always changing. Say in theater, there's one production is more expensive than another. It depends on that, and so it always shifts. But I would also rely on department chairs a lot to help express the needs and to advocate for what needs they might have.
Great. Solomon?
Absolutely. If there's any competition for resources, I think I've failed at the position, because I wouldn't be able to explain our objectives at the school. See, the truth is that as we come together, even with cosmetology and other programs that seem quite different than automotive, for example, but similarly, we're here to help all the students. And if I don't communicate to what everyone's doing and the needs for the whole school, whether it be with, for example, combined certificates, we're doing that with welding, machine shop, the CAD program, and electronics. So now they're kind of vested in each other. Business, we're working with them and with the entrepreneurship and marketing, and there's going to be some crossover with some of our graphics faculty, because they're looking to do small business development as well. And so the objectives are important, and they will dictate the resources necessary, and I think it'll be collective with the faculty realizing these are the objectives that as a school we need to meet. And so making sure that everyone has participation in that communication is really the main goal.
Great, thank you. So the next question, I'm going to combine 2 questions together. And the first question was, how do you envision the reorganization in these new schools to better serve or meet our students' need, particularly in the areas of basic skills, CTE, and transfer? And I'd like to follow it up with a question that came from the audience tonight, which was, what are your innovative ideas for serving our basic skills students? So why don't we start with Amy on this one?
I think I addressed this a little bit in my remarks, in that when we're together, languages, social sciences, and English, we have an opportunity to organize for outcomes. So for organizing to help our basic skills students to become more successful, we will be sharing our pedagogical techniques. As I talked about, we have the Stretch Accelerated program now. Both English and ESL are involved in that. We can create cohorts with our basic skills students, with our reading program, with the social sciences classes. So we put students in a reading class to help them be successful in their social science classes. As you know, many students come in here as basic skills and they immediately enroll in philosophy or psychology, and they don't do so well because they can't keep up with the reading. So we can have more interaction with the faculty. And the faculty already talk to each other. We already share ideas, but this could be with more leadership from the faculty and all the different deans to bring them together to work towards greater success with basic skills. As far as innovative ideas, I'm still thinking.
Great, thank you, Amy. Jim?
In the visual arts and in performing communication arts, we don't have official basic skills courses, but we did experiment for the first time last year with the music pathway. And so we had a small cohort of about 25 students who went through, and the first year they didn't take the music classes. They took basic skills, College 1, and then they could be just in a performing ensemble and possibly applied lessons only, and then they would take then the music, start the music transfer sequence the second year, and that seems to have worked out really well. We haven't seen the official data yet, but the students who've gone through that, there were some that I first met in the summer, and I thought, he doesn't even know how to talk to an adult, and doesn't know how to navigate the system. Well, all those students now are really mature. They've come into the official music transfer program really well. So I'd like to expand that to improve the basic skills. We also, in the arts, I have what we call the arts basic skills, because sometimes students come in, they know they're artistic, or they're a dancer, or they're a musician, or they want to act, but they haven't had the training. They weren't fortunate enough to go to a school that had a strong program there, or a program at all. So we need to take a year to get them up to college level, and so that's an important level, important aspect of getting our students ready then to transfer. So both of those are important.
Thank you. Solomon?
Yes, this is an excellent question, and I think we should always ask this question almost every day. What are we doing innovative for basic skill students? We can't increase our transfer rate until we address to having more college-ready students. We can't have any more college-ready students unless we have career-ready students, and we can't have career-ready students unless we deal with basic skill students, right? And that's the idea of the problem. I'm happy to say that addressing basic skills here at this campus was a transformative process for myself. Because, like I mentioned earlier, I dealt with some transfer engineering paths, which I felt, oh, that wasn't my problem. Those aren't my students. They're talking about other folks in ESL somewhere. The reality is 30+% of my students were basic skills students. And once I partnered up with my colleague, Deborah Bird, in the architecture department, and we really strategized a way to address this problem in our programs, in contextualized English and math, for their benefit, partnering up with English faculty and math faculty, and including yourself for speech, to be able to increase the basic skill achievement from 33% in math and 50% in English to over 70% across 30 units is what our latest design tech achievement was, is something to me of great success that I share with all my colleagues, including yourself. For this idea, I'm very grateful for the support that we got from our administration when we had this concept, because when we first went to Dr. Rocha with this idea, we jumped 3 deans. We jumped our dean, we jumped the CTE dean, we even jumped the VP of instruction back then, went directly to Dr. Rocha to say, we have this idea and we think it's gonna work. Well, not only did it work, but we also got $4 million later to expand it across as a model for CTE. And that is definitely a story that is here at PCC, and I'm proud of. And I not only did I engage with the problem with the issue with basic skills, but I think we're actually solving it.
Great, thank you. Barbara?
And I'm really glad that they're solving it, because basic skills, we don't offer them in, any basic skills classes in health sciences. We, of course, have students that meet the prerequisites, are selected for the program, and yet our faculty do express concern with remediation needs in terms of basic math for dosage calculations, and issues with regards to students' writing and communication skills. So I would imagine that the faculty in health sciences would embrace working with some of the basic skills faculty in specifically providing opportunities for that contextualized learning. If there is a basic skills student who has a dream of being a dental assistant or of being a nurse or a rad tech person, that we might be able to provide some kinds of examples of the types of things that they would need to be able to write. I mean, you really do want them to communicate in their nurse's notes correctly, and if there's miscommunication there, it can have really negative outcomes for our patients. So since it's been identified, and I believe at one time there was a writing across the curriculum initiative, and maybe that's not exactly what it is that we need to be looking at. Maybe more of the contextualized learning opportunities would be something that we could look at helping our other faculty in the other divisions, other schools.
Wonderful, thank you. So the next question, I think, once we talk about innovation and supporting our students, I think it's really easy to look at, well, how do you support your faculty who support your students? And that's one of the next questions that we got, and it was really intended for Amy and Jim, which is that as you move into these bigger divisions, essentially these schools, how are you going to be able to support all of those faculty now, and what do you envision that looking like? So we'll start with Jim.
That's something I've been concerned about because I've always liked having an open door, and I've been accessible to faculty. So it worries me that I may not be able to be so accessible and get isolated. So that will be a concern for me. But I'll work out efforts. I'll have particular days or open house or work out ways that faculty can feel like they can see me as they need to. I would also work carefully with the chairs so that if a chair is sensing a concern, then I can reach out. But that will be a concern. That's one of the joys of my job, is being able to communicate and work with the faculty. And fortunately, as Dean of Performing Arts, I get to see the students maybe more than other deans, because I see them regularly over a period of 4 semesters or so. So that is a part of the job I relish, and that I may be a little bit isolated, which would concern.
Amy.
Well, it's going to be a challenge. Every year when the English faculty come back to school, they receive a calendar of meetings for the year, meetings and events in the English division. And basically, it's almost every Tuesday and Thursday. There's a reading committee meeting and a lit committee meeting, a comp committee meeting, and a division meeting, and I go to all those meetings, and I've sort of mapped out different configurations, iterations of a calendar where I could then go to the languages and the ESL and the French and the German and all the different faculty to meet with them in smaller groups, and that is something that I would strive to do. Obviously, also, I don't mean to leave out social sciences. So it would be something of a bit of a juggling act, but I would want to start out by meeting in smaller groups with the faculty who don't know me. The English faculty, they're sick of me. They know me really well. Many of the languages faculty know me and worked under me years ago. So I would envision bringing different, I'm trying to think about this as I speak, but having small, meetings, luncheon meetings with people from the different areas where they would mix also. But I agree with Jim, it's going to be difficult. I also have an open door policy, and I like to be as accessible as I can. And we would just work it through.
Thank you. The next question that we have is regards to what you've also just acknowledged, or a number of you have acknowledged in terms of chairs. With moving to a chair model, there might be an impact on the classroom, meaning we're going to be removing some faculty from teaching. Do you think that there's really going to be an impact, or how do you plan on minimizing the potential negative impact of people being removed from the classroom? Solomon, we'll start with you.
Good question. Quite frankly, I don't know if classroom impact is right now of any relevancy with the faculty, because a lot of them do have some, because of, for those of you who may not have known, the ENT and business both did not have a division dean for quite some time.
Right.
So faculty already had release time of sorts, and so they already were somewhat removed from the classroom. So it may not impact directly, but maybe to address it in a different way. I do think that selection of faculty chairs should be addressed in a sort of similar concerns of faculty groupings. For example, of course, we have business, we have information technology, we have more the industrial technology as well. We have a little bit of the design folks, including cosmetology and anyone creatively thinking. We have a lot of different constituents under the school, and I think grouping and having those voices heard was very important for me to have representation.
Barbara?
Well, as I mentioned also earlier, since we already have this model with program directors, what I would like to see and negotiate with our program directors as chairs is actually additional release time for them. We are regulated, though, in the amount of time within specific programs a given program director can actually have outside of the classroom. So while from an administrative standpoint, every one of them can and sometimes does a full-time job just doing the administrative work, for some of those programs we wouldn't be able to go that high because they are required to still stay in the professional area. And that's something that we would work on with the program directors themselves and the faculty in terms of what are the responsibilities and roles of those program chairs or program directors, and how much time, what is the maximum time that's permitted by the accreditation board, and how much time within that maximum do they really think is required. For us, that would mean an impact in terms of faculty coverage. You know, if I take dental hygiene as an example, you know, within the clinic, I'm already having 22 faculty in the clinic working with students, you know, on patients, and removing the program director for an additional few hours means I need to find additional adjunct faculty at the very least, if not a consideration for requesting and making a case for full-time faculty through the Academic Senate when we do those faculty hiring. So it will have implications for us, even though we already have the model, because my expectation is that many of those programs are going to require some additional release time for them, and it's much deserved.
Amy?
The English division has been impacted greatly for many years by faculty of reassigned time. I currently have 3 full-time faculty assigned to English who have had 100% reassigned time outside of English for years now. And so we have managed that by building a strong core of adjunct faculty. We have some really fine adjunct faculty who work in the classroom effectively. They now have some office hours, so that is a help. In languages and social sciences and also in English, we also have coordinators, and those coordinators have reassigned time to be out of the classroom. I believe that it's more than 100% of coordinatorship over it in languages, and I'm not sure how much it is in social sciences. So I see if we move to a chair model, it will be a reconfiguration of those positions, so it will be kind of moving it around and maybe taking a little bit more out of the classroom in one area and putting back into the classroom in another. But it's something that we've always worked under, and we always will. It's a problem because our best teachers often end up in leadership roles. And you want to say, no, stay in the classroom because you're so good. But no, come out of the classroom because we need you as a leader. So it's working with the faculty and moving them around as effectively as we can and having a strong core of adjunct faculty in all those areas.
Great, thank you. Jim?
Well, as you know, this has happened in our division. Recently, some of our finest instructors are being taken from the classroom. But again, they have to be replaced with adjuncts then. And so we've been fortunate in our recent hiring to just get some phenomenal people. But it does mean there's extra training, there's extra evaluation, there's it takes a lot of extra work to manage the adjuncts. And unfortunately, there's less in the way of office hours, there's less in the way of departmental engagements. So that is a problem. But you handle it the best you can and hope that you have then a strong pool of really outstanding adjuncts.
Great, thank you. Well, this leads to another question that regards the organizational and communication process. And specifically, the question was, the people who are currently deans are going to stay administrators from the understanding of this person. And how does this put greater control into the hands of the faculty or chairs? Or what are some of the benefits that you see in terms of communication and collaboration by having this additional layer of management? Give you guys a second. I'm telling you what's on the paper.
Who's first on this one? Is this one? No.
So this first one would be Solomon.
Oh, good.
You want to go for that one? Do you want to Rochambeau for somebody else?
No,
Okay. Barbara?
Okay, I'll go first
And
on
then
that
we'll
one.
go that way.
Right. Because again, well, see, it's easy for me to go first then because I can fall back to that same thing of, well, I already have this in place, and so it really isn't an additional layer of administration, is it? When we're looking at program directors, and so they still will have a dean. I think that where we get an opportunity to have more communication and then collaboration with the rest of the campus is in how we as the school get together and decide what are going to be the additional responsibilities of that faculty chair / program director in terms of, the release time. Because they're already doing much of it. They communicate. I mean, I have the most fantastic program directors, and really, I would like to give them all a round of applause because, and there are a few of them here, they're the reason I can sleep at night. Truly, they do a remarkable job because it's not just coordinating a schedule or working with students and making sure that they've met their ed plan and that their requirements are there. We have so many external requirements in terms of program review. So our faculty and program directors weren't just doing the program reviews that the rest of the school were doing now with IEC and these new things for the accreditation. We've been doing them all along. So in addition to those now, they've been doing the ones for their own boards. So we've got the Board of Registered Nursing, the Board of Vocational Nursing, CODA for the Commission on Dental Accreditation. I got that right. And it covers the 3 dental programs. And then we've got JCERT for the Joint Commission on something for education in radiologic technology. And every one of them have these, just volumes of regulations that every one of those program directors makes sure the curriculum meet those objectives, that we're in compliance with everything, that we have radiation detection badges so the students, are not getting overexposed with radiation. This detail. They communicate with all of our external advisory boards. They communicate with me all the time with my open door policy, and I don't see that would stop. My hope would be that their ability to communicate with me, with their faculty, our faculty, and with our students would just get even better because they would now have some additional time that we can give them as we look at what these program director or department chairs or program chairs, whatever it is that we're going to be calling this model.
Great, thank you. Solomon, do you want to go for it?
Answer that one. I think this particular model will really lead to faculty empowerment that may not exist at the moment. It formalizes positions that faculty have already sustained as leaders in our institution, but it will also be able to allow for flexibility to have different individuals sort of contribute to the culture of the school in their particular way. If they want to focus on program review, well, that faculty chair can actually be the expert of program review, right? Or curricular development, or internship, or development for students to participate in a particular program of study. So the idea is that we can share best practices and have really a level of experts that will develop the culture for the school. That's the way I see it. I don't want to be the focal point for everything, as a matter of fact. I want to be out there to bring the resources necessary for the school to function with that culture. And so I really think it'll allow for a definition of the culture, formalize it, and to provide this cross training for the faculty to rise up and to define this for themselves.
Jim?
Well, back to the question, I think, was about could you read it again?
You want to phrase it again? So this is the, how do you feel for the current, so things like for the current deans who don't become, or the current, I'm sorry. For the current deans who aren't going to become school deans, who will still stay in administration, how do you feel this might put greater control into the faculty hands with an additional administrative layer? And how do you think this might explain some of the communication and the collaboration or benefits of this model?
So, first of all, I don't think, that's really not my purview. I don't know how that's going to take place. That's for the executive team to decide on. But but VAMS, we're just two divisions combining. So Joe Footner and I are now in one office suite with the move into our building. So, and right now he's working with VAMS. We're doing our same jobs essentially, except already we're starting to cross-pollinate a bit. So I could see that if that relationship maintained, I wouldn't want to think of it as hierarchical. That's just not the way I work. We would, instead of it being still a VAMS dean and a performing communication, I would work to maybe decide how we distribute the different duties and then start to work across the larger schools. So I would do the parts of the job that I really enjoy doing and hope that we can trade those around a little bit, but really still working school-wide, but not top-down, so there's someone to go through before they can talk to me. I wouldn't set it up that way.
Great, thank you. Amy?
Well, it's complicated because, as you can see, each school is quite different. So there's no dean under you, correct?
I have no
I mean,
dean.
if you
am-
were,
am-
right,
if I
okay.
am-
I've been
if
calling
I
them
am-
co-deans.
Coding.
I find it's what you'll maybe want after this. All right,
So in the School of Humanities and Social Sciences, there would be a dean of languages at this point and a dean of social sciences, and now there's no dean of English. I don't know where she went. But so we would, again, be working together to decide how everything is going to function. And I don't see the extra layer, really. I see the school deans as moving a little bit away from some of the operational work and some of the, perhaps the scheduling that takes 99% of our time and evaluations, and moving faculty more into that area. And then the deans who are in place would be working with the faculty. And I don't see that the faculty would need to speak to their dean and to get to another dean. It's more horizontal than hierarchical. So, and as Jim said, a lot of this will have to do with the higher administration, how they want to see it. But I see it as everybody working more closely together and not more separately.
Great, thank you very much. So we have 2 questions left that I have now. If you have any additional questions, you can bring them up. But the next question that I have is having to deal with the current climate on campus, and that many people feel that there is a poor process of communication on campus. How do you feel that this reorganization process is addressing that issue, or how could it? And I'll let you take it in any order if someone wants to jump at it first.
Well, we've had a good, I feel like in our division, Performing Communication Arts Division, we've had within our group a good climate and good collaborative work and respect, mutual respect for each other. And among arts people, especially with strong personalities, that can be a challenge, but we've done that very well. So I think if, at least me personally, if I can do that and help foster that same kind of environment in a larger school, I would work to do that.
Thank you. Amy?
Well, you know, what Jim was saying is the faculty within the divisions, we all get, the climate within the division seems to be pretty good from what I can see. And there is these broader issues that don't really have anything to do specifically with who's the dean or how the college is organized or who's the chair. They're bigger issues than us. But I think communication is really the key. And I do feel that there has been a great effort for communication on this campus, and that not everybody reads everything or listens to what is put out there and then says, I didn't know about this, and it's already there. So I don't think the reorganization is going to make it better or make it worse. I think that's something that is separate, that is going to have to be worked out in time.
Great, thank you. Barbara?
Well, I agree with Amy in terms of the dynamics with interpersonal communication between and among faculty and their respective deans. I think, though, that the reorganization, in terms of its opportunity to empower faculty and the school dean in more decision-making on that level, that in some forms of communication then will be enhanced or improved because we won't be in the hurry up and wait mode for the green light or whatever other information that we're looking for, because there are so many systems in play here on the campus. And so I think that by doing the reorganization and having this this expectation that faculty, that there will be so much more empowerment in terms of the day-to-day operations, that kind of communication would improve. But I would have to agree that I don't find that it's really, I mean, my faculty call me at home and text me and email me, you know, at 3 in the morning, and I respond. There's never been a sense in our school that anybody is not approachable. I'm not always available. I'll be stuck in a meeting when a text will come through that says, need you, can you call, you know, and we work out those kind of communication things, short of doing smoke signals. The only other thing, of course, is for us, our big hope is when we all come back together. It has been difficult to be split on 2 different campuses in terms of that kind of communication, but otherwise, I think the communication has been really good.
Thank you. Solomon?
Sure. I think the reorganization, and Barbara mentioned it, it is an opportunity for us as leaders in our institution to define what the school will be. And I think once the vision is communicated, and hopefully the envisioning of what we're about as leaders can address the communication, because the matter in previous formats, has been a lack of communication and lack of uniformity across multiple divisions. And so we have individuals with no information or the wrong information, and they have false expectations of matters, and that causes conflict. So not that that's contributing to the current climate, but definitely I understand that because the deans have been in the past relegated to, as Amy mentioned, scheduling and other tasks, we have not been able to go to the forefront and set that vision and to bring forth that communication to kind of frame what should be talked about and how to achieve these outcomes. And I think we'll be able to do so in these roles.
Great, thank you. So the last question that we have has to deal, so far tonight we've really been focused on the effects on faculty. And the last question is really about our next important populations, our classified and our students. How do you envision the effect, the benefits for our classified and our student population? Naveen, go for it.
Well, when I was on the task force for realignment, one of the issues that kept coming up from the students was we don't know who to go to when there's a problem. That kind of surprised me because I thought it was pretty clear, but I'm not a student, so it must not have been clear because it kept coming up. So I think with the schools, it will be clear to the students that if there's they need to go through the process, if they have a problem with the teacher, to talk to the teacher, and then they can go to the dean and they can move up, but that they know that there's one person in charge of this school, whatever school that they're in for a particular class or a particular program, who is clearly the person where the buck stops, I guess, and that the students would know where to go to. The students aren't going to feel the difference in terms of what their classes are, but scheduling might be better when we're working together within our schools and doing more cross-pollinating, so to speak. When we develop programs based on outcomes, and we talked about basic skills earlier, this will help the students, and the pathways might be more, what's the word I want to say, not biologic, but come naturally.
Organic.
Organic, that was the word, right, organic. So I think it can only be beneficial to the students. As far as the classified staff are still in their positions, and I think it shouldn't really change what they're doing.
Great, thank you. Jim?
I can go. Also for students, if we have department chairs that are, I think, maybe more accessible, that would be a good first step for a student who has a concern. Also, we're hoping to move more advisement to the departments, and if faculty chairs are there and part of what they do is advise students, we've got that built in now, which right now we don't. Deans try to do it as best we can, but we run out of time sometimes. So I think that would help students a lot is have that advisement right there closer at hand. And then I think as school offices merge and the staffs can merge, I think employees can start to take on the tasks that they excel at and that they enjoy and that they would like, and we're seeing some of that already in our area. So I think I would hope then that there's opportunity for classified staff in the offices to feel more empowered about what they do as part of their job, and maybe feel more responsibility for fewer areas, maybe, instead of being so scattered like we all are. So,
Thank you. Salma?
I've had the honor to bring the engineering and technology and business divisions to some system, and I can honestly say that the classified staff for which I've engaged with, you would have thought they were duplicating efforts on two different divisions, but the reality is that the problems that we're addressing as a school have been harmoniously addressed with a very broad system-level thinking of how do we address now bigger problems. In other words, how do we work more effectively together to actually produce more efficiency? And I think being able to brainstorm with the classified staff, developing systems, coming together, and them realizing that they themselves have been challenged to a different level, and them rising to the challenge has propped them up a bit. So I feel like this is an opportunity for our classified staff to feel that they're actually providing help across a different frontier that has never been experienced before. So I've been happy for that. Students, on the other hand, would benefit greatly, kind of like what Amy mentioned, with a directive of who's responsible in one way, but also with I'll use the word cross-pollination of activities that happens across very similar programs. And in particular with the School of CTE, where there's the Small Business Development Center helping our business programs, and even our CTE sort of industrial and design programs working with industry for internships is quite successful. And so our students will benefit by the effort of a couple of folks for multiple purposes. So that's another great benefit for students.
Thank you. Barbara?
So I think that it's really not going to change a whole lot for us, again, because we have this model. And I would say that our students, given the limited resources that we have and limited support staff that we have, I can boast the success rates that we have because of this model. So I would say that the other schools can take this as a lesson of what is going to be beneficial now for their students and classified staff, because the students know there's a program director and their faculty that do such close one-on-one work with them. My faculty are advisors. You know, they may not formally advise in terms of, you know, classes and such, because it's already been prescribed. But it is because of that model that I think our students feel as supported as they are. And then if they get into situations where, for whatever reason, they're uncomfortable or embarrassed to talk about an issue with a faculty person or the program director, they do use the dean then. And we do have activities where, for example, and this relates back to another question, and I don't remember exactly what it was about how we would improve things for communication with students. We do host a coffee with the dean, and it's a confidential. Students are allowed to come, and if there's something on their chest, they can just get it off, and I can then address issues with faculty individually or as a group. Everybody remains anonymous. This is a concern. We have ice cream socials. I haven't done one this fall because it got very busy, but I'll probably do it like in January, which is when everybody will really want some cold ice cream. But we have those opportunities,
Right.
and so I think just looking at health sciences and the success rates, and again, if I can just, you know, dental assisting, we just got 100% pass rate on the dental exam board. Again, that's the second year in a row. Medical assisting with the contract ed that we just did with LA County, 25 people took the national certification exam, which is the gold standard and surpasses California's certificate, which is not industry recognized. So we're the only game in town that has this gold standard. That's why they hired us. So 25 people who are very basic skills students, lots of challenges with that particular cohort, 24 of them passed the first time. So we have these unbelievable successes, and it is because we have this incredible, you know, faculty chair, if that's what we want to call them, program director, and faculty model. So you guys are going to do great.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So with that, now we're at the point where we're going to have some closing statements from our fine, fantastic candidates up here. As they are making their last statements, I'm going to be passing around a paper evaluation and survey of tonight's forum and of the candidates. This is also going to be available online through the iPro website. So if you don't want to fill out a paper copy, you can go home or even do it right now from your phone and fill out the survey online. So with that, we're going to go into closing statements. Yep, Amy is first.
No, I'm going to go home and come up with the most brilliant answers for every one of those questions. So thank you for giving up the opening game of the World Series. Do we know what the score is? Anybody? No? Nobody has a radio on? 3-0. 3-0 who? Woo-hoo! Oh. No. Well, I have to think about that. I'm originally from the East Coast. Well, thank you for coming and listening to my fellow deans and me tonight. I think it's been a valuable experience. I hope tonight's discussion has helped answer some of your questions and alleviated any concerns you might have about our ability to take on these challenges, and specifically for me, of leading the School of Humanities and Social Sciences, although I don't know that there are any. I know Linda's here. Most of the School of Humanities and Social Sciences is now gone. If you want to learn more about me, no matter what school you're in, come by C245. I have an open door policy. The English faculty will tell you that. I'm happy to talk. Some of you might know that my license plate for the past 23 years has been I love PCC. It's true. I also fell in love at PCC and married a colleague. Those of you who don't know who it is, I'm not telling you. Maybe he's here. I love this school. I love the community in which I work, and I hope you'll put your trust in me and approve the administration's selection of me as a candidate to be Dean of the School of Humanities and Social Sciences. Thank you. Yeah, you.
I didn't prepare a closing statement. I wanted to kind of get a feel for what this, I had questions about what you would all be asking as questions. And I guess it was primarily because we're changing, and yet we're not changing. We're still this wonderful division, which will now be a school. It is still filled with fabulous faculty and amazing program directors. We may change the title of those, depending on what our board allows, because we do answer to those higher authorities. I just want to say that I can't believe that this is my 5th academic year at PCC. It has gone by very, very quickly. It's been quite an experience for me, and getting to know all of you and having you all get to know me. I think I feel comfortable in saying that at this point in time, you are comfortable with me, that you know there's no hidden agenda. I would never be able to play poker. I wear it all on my face and my sleeve. Your best interests are what I have at heart, because your best interests are what serve the best interests of our students. And in our division, that's a little selfishly important to me, because they're going to be taking care of me at some point in the not too distant future. So I hope that the answers that I've provided have also inspired confidence in you to have me continue leading health sciences, and as it will be called, the School of Allied Health Sciences. And I just expect us to do greater, bigger, better things. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for sticking around tonight. As a person who comes from a great technological background, and believe it or not, I even own my own business, so I know what it is to be an entrepreneur, how to risk your reputation, how to risk your livelihood, even, to take that jump. I feel like I have the know-how to be able to lead a lot of the programs under the School of Career and Technical Education. That said, it's not an easy job. And I understand that. It's a lot of growth, and there's a lot of challenges for which I feel very comfortable here at PCC to be part of a family of which I've been part of for a very long time. And I extend my gratitude to many individuals who help cultivate me. There's a lot of folks here who are sitting down that help me be where I'm at, and that's is something that I hold very dear to me. And there's something that stayed with me that I told the previous CTE dean at a conference I was at, and just to give you the perspective of how much I've been thinking about this. I remember telling the CTE dean at a conference, who will remain nameless, just CTE dean, why do I feel like I'm on a losing team? I feel we're on a losing team. Other community colleges in this great state of California are doing these great things, and we're not. Why is that? I don't like to be part of a losing team. So I reach out to the faculty, reach out to all of you here in our community so that you think about the School of Career and Technology Education and everyone here being part of a winning team. And that's something that I'm committed to. So thank you very much.
Well, I feel like there's very exciting days ahead for visual arts, media, and performing arts on this campus. And I think the synergy of combining these groups together is only going to enhance and strengthen what these can do, what these areas can accomplish. And it's going to be due to both the fortune we've had in a new building and some wonderful facilities, things we've had going on, but really the efforts of the faculty and the wonderful students that we're training. So I'm looking forward to being part of that and to working with everyone. Thank you.
So please give our round of candidates a big round of applause. Thank you so much. Because I know many of you would love to spend your Wednesday night being scrutinized by people on campus, right? I also want to mention again, there are paper surveys that I've put out on the tables and on the back buffet table. You can also fill out that survey online through iPro. It's going to be available now. And then for your friends and colleagues who couldn't make it tonight, this should be live by Friday afternoon, so they'll be able to watch a video of it if they couldn't make it. Before we leave, I'm just going to have Dr. Bell say a few final remarks.
So again, ladies and gentlemen, let me thank you all for being here. I appreciate you, as they say, hanging in for the time period. One notable change, if you looked at the preparation and all the preliminary information on this, you notice that there was one individual who was scheduled to be here who's not on the panel, and that is Dean Dave Douglas. Dean Douglas is literally touching down from at LAX on a trip back from Washington, D.C. And so Dean Douglas will be available. He will go through this process and make himself available for all of you, similar format, tomorrow from 12 to 1 in the Circadian. And so Dean Douglas apologized for not being here. I feel like I'm accepting the award at the Academy. He apologized for not being here, but it was one of those things, it was a situation that he simply had to make. So Dean Douglas will go through this tomorrow. As Panella mentioned, the survey is online now. It will be there through the 15th of November, and so I encourage you to go and fill that out. The video of tonight's event will be available Friday of this week. We'll get that information out to everyone, and so for all of our colleagues who were not able to attend today, they can view the video and also then be able to go and provide feedback at the survey. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I thank very much all of our candidates, particularly Panella, for agreeing to do this. I think all of you be here, and I say we are adjourned now and get home, probably catch the second half of the ball game. Thanks very much. I appreciate it.